happy first Sunday of the new year. Isn't it exciting? Here we are. This is what I'm calling, thanks Christine by the way, Creatrix Sunday School. And so this is going to be me popping in every Sunday at noon Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Pacific, 5 GMT, 5 p GMT, to share some thoughts for the week as we enter into this new space of Creatrix Consciousness. And we'll learn a lot more about that. Hi to you guys who are joining. It's a pleasure to have you here. Today I'm going to talk about two things. First, I'm going to talk about why I think everybody should choose or receive a word of the year every year. And the second, I'm going to talk briefly about what really happens when you ask the universe for something. Whether you're asking the universe to receive something or to release something, what really happens? Like what really goes down? So let's get into it. Hey Jessica, I see you. Te quiero, amiga. Hey you. Okay, so first, word of the year. So word of the year is a practice that I've done for about 6 years now. And my personal word for 2021 is rise. And that word for me has so much meaning to it in so many different dimensions of my life, rising past the circumstances that are being placed in my path, rising beyond the perceived limitations or obstacles that we might have, and rising into a deeper and truer state of who I am, rising to the challenge, rising to the occasion of continuing to awaken my truth. And today I shared a post and an email to my list. That's one of those really stretchy moments. By the way, thank you for those of you, you know who you are, who are really holding me high in the space right now. Today I shared one of those posts that is really stretchy because you declare and you step into something that feels like you just kind of like jumped over like a gap. Like one of those trust falls where you're like, okay, here we go, and I trust that my wings are strong enough to carry me and help me rise into what's next. And what's next for me is really, and what's here, not just what's next, what is here is really being this channel for what I call Creatrix Consciousness. And Creatrix Consciousness is a movement and a way of being, a way of living, a way of calling in a new truth for true divine feminine leadership for the new world. And how that manifests and how that shows up is in multiple ways. So this is going to be a very holistic process that we get to go through together, because stepping into your Creatrix energy means that you are showing up in a way where you are lighting up with mindset, magic, and momentum in ways that you probably have not even given yourself the chance to light up before. So more on that, but let's touch briefly on word of the year. So like I said, my word is rise. And for the past couple of years, I've taken clients and people through workshops and opportunities to uncover and discover their word of the year for the year coming up. And this year in particular, I actually channeled this really beautiful meditation and activation. It's like a journey into receiving your word. I actually believe that your word chooses you. Your word of the year is not a goal. It's not an intention. It's not a New Year's well, it is an intention, but it's not a New Year's resolution. There's a big distinction there. And so your word serves as both an anchor to ground you throughout the year with whatever challenges might come, stretches and opportunities, and also a North Star. So it serves to both ground and also bring you into the space of what's next. So that every time that you come into remembrance of your word, it can hold you to who you're really here to be. And I believe that your soul, your higher self, chooses your word for you. And sometimes you may receive a word that you weren't even expecting, that you're like, wait a minute, what is this? This doesn't seem like, because your ego might have an understanding of what the word might be. Your ego might have an understanding based on the external circumstances that want us to succeed in a certain way, to have that certain, the work, the worth, all the pieces that really come from external motivations. But your soul has these internal motivations, and that's what happens when we get quiet and listen to them, and then take inspired action from that space of that internal motivation, that inner drive, that divine wisdom. That's where this word gets to emerge from. So in this beautiful meditation, it's actually an incredible way to receive it. I've gotten so much great feedback from it, and you can absolutely get access to it. I actually did I did it for a friend of mine's podcast, for Natalie's Bachanga and Possibility podcast, which is, I really recommend you guys check out, especially if you're into the space of discovering what's possible when we tap into our inner realms. And so I'll leave her tagged in so you can go check that out. So why the word of the year? I really don't believe in New Year's resolutions. I absolutely believe in setting, intentions and having goals and looking towards the future to see what you're ready to cause and create in your life, what you're ready to take inspired action from, what you're ready to manifest into your world. But New Year's resolutions can fall flat, and we all know that. That's like, saying the thing of like, oh, I'm going to do this, whether it's something, exercise or eating healthy or one of those classic ones, or it's, I'm going to read a certain amount of books, or unless there's a clear intention and a clear, and you're really like honed in on the essence of what this year holds for you, then you probably won't follow through. But when you give yourself the opportunity to really tap into the word of the year, right? To really tap into that word, then that in itself fuels a lot of the other goals, intentions, ideas that you want to bring forth. And I have found that as I've chosen words throughout the past few years, my word for 2020 was receive. And that was one where when it chose me, when receive kept coming through as like, this is the word for 2020, I was like, what? Like, I couldn't believe that was the word, because it felt very passive to me. It felt like selfish almost. And boy, oh boy, did I come to realize and understand the truth of what this receiving energy was trying to teach me. Because your word will illuminate something that you're ready to learn. Your word will anchor you in a truth and a wisdom from within you that your soul is ready to embody. It will help you remember something. It will help you release things that are holding you back from fully embodying that word. So I encourage you guys right now to think about, if you already have a word of the year, think about it from that lens. It is going to teach you something. It is going to move you forward. It is going to serve as your anchor. It is going to serve as your North Star. It's potent and beautiful. And of course, this doesn't mean that one word is going to encapsulate everything in your year. We are so multifaceted. There's so much to us. So people often ask me, how can I possibly choose just one word? This is an essence. This is an essence. And when we overthink it, we're like, oh my God, how am I going to choose one word? Notice how then you're not being in the space of just trusting what's coming through. And trusting what often is, our intuition speaks to us in ways that oftentimes are a lot simpler than the complexities that our ego and our mind want to, concoct. But we're not used to that. We're not used to receiving information that feels like, oh, okay, that's it. That's the answer. That's the decision. That's the choice point. We're used to the harder, our brain wants to make it hard. Our mind wants to make it hard because we associate hard with success. We associate hard with worth. We tend to. We associate that sort of struggle, like it's gotta be really, really challenging for it to mean something. And where we want to come, and where Creatrix Consciousness wants to, what it wants to awaken within us is this neutral point where we are both operating from that space of inner drive and strategy, and also with that divine wisdom, that intuition, that inner knowing, the capital K, that comes through us. And when we are able to courageously begin acting from that space, aligning it with our strategy and our inner drive, that really truly is where the magic happens and where we get to step into our creatrix mode. A creatrix knows that she is creating her reality every step along the way. A creatrix knows and trusts that she has the sovereign power and the understanding of who she is, and that she is on a path to uncovering it more and more and more. And a creatrix also seeks community, because this is where we get to both individuate and be sovereign, and also be in community and connection. And that's a really, really important piece, especially as we step into the age of Aquarius. Aquarius is a sign that wants us to be unique and also work in community. And that to me is the most beautiful, like that to me is like goals. When you are able to be you, authentically you, in your truth, in your wisdom, in your freedom, in your light, and we are able to co-create and be in community and help everybody gets to rise. So again, if you have your word, I encourage you to really look at it through the lens of everything that I just shared with you. And if you haven't chosen a word just yet, you're in perfect timing to do so. This is a portal right now where you can absolutely bring in and call in the energy for what's coming in 2021. So I'd encourage you to sit with that meditation that I'm going to share with you guys. And I'd love to hear, by the way, when you choose your word, or if you've chosen your word, if you have a word, put it in the comments. And when you do, you haven't chosen it already, or it hasn't chosen you, I'd love to hear it in a DM. Let's quickly talk about what really happens when you ask the universe for something. Let's step into that. You know you're a creatrix when you have an understanding that you are creating along with the universe, that you're literally, like, your reality is what comes through you. Create! Yes, Rachel, I love it. So we tend to think that the universe is just like, whatever experience you have of the universe, God, source, so many ways to call this like essence, right? This incredible, like this oneness, this all that is. Let's call it universe for right now. So you ask the universe for something, whether you're ready to receive it or you're ready to release it. And I'm going to share a quick example of what really happens when you ask the universe to release something. Last week, during the full moon in Cancer, I had a releasing ritual. I actually did it myself, and I did it with my husband as well. Jessica, expansion, yes! Firecrackers, oh, I love it. So I did a releasing ceremony during the full moon. Full moons are great to release. New moons are great to manifest, right? And we're going to keep talking about that for those of you who know, who have worked with me before. I'm huge on working with the moon cycles, and I'm getting that's something I'm really, really stepping into, is this connection, this deeper connection of understanding the moon cycles and how they can serve to move us through each month. Miss Emily says my word is trust. Thank you for sharing. So back to the full moon. I did this release ceremony, right? And this is like, we would have a fire pit outside. In the past, I would just do it in a little, now I have my little cauldron, which I would use back when I was in the apartment. Now that we moved into this new home, I have a little backyard, and so we have a fire pit, which works really well for ceremony. And I released a couple things. One of them, what came through very powerfully for me, and I wasn't even expecting it, was just releasing ego. And I was like, ego? Okay, that's a lot. But I wrote it down, and I, set the intention to let that go. Whatever, it's like, you get this hit, you get this feeling of, there's something around ego that's ready for me to release, for me to shift. And of course, our relationship with ego is one of the things that I think we're moving through all the time. And I don't vilify ego. I think ego has its place. And, it's that part of us that wants to keep us in the space of safety. And sort of like, Anyways, I released it. And the next day, I kid you not, something really unexpected happened. I got just like blindsided, that had to do with my ego. And forced me to look like face to face with, oh, okay, and explore the sort of tethers that I had to that experience that had to do with my ego, that had to do with my pride, that had to do with how to move through that situation. And I was like, whoa. I was like, so of course, last night I just choose to release this. I intend to release this. And the next day, it was like a test was already ready, prepared for me in the classroom of life, in the Creatrix school of life. It was like, okay, here you go. You're ready to release this, part of your ego that's tethering you to something? Here. And so that got me thinking about our constant relationship, being in relation with the universe and actually seeing it as such. It's not just this entity that we're sort of like, we tend to think that, okay, I'm going to release something or I'm going to manifest something, and it's just like we put a request in and then, okay, there it goes. I don't know where. And actually what's really, really, really happens is that the universe will say, okay, great. You're ready to release that? Let me help you release it. So it means you get to step into some sort of action that maybe you weren't expecting. Maybe it's an action. Maybe it's more of a mindset thing. Maybe it's spiritual. Maybe something happens in your life that triggers you in a way that emotions come through related to that. And the same with receiving. The universe says, okay, great, you're ready to receive that. Then it's almost like step up, but from a very embodied way. It's not a hustle step up. The universe says, okay, let's do it. And it's not like it's, oh, prove it to me. No, never. Never, 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 never. The universe does not work that way. That is a very patriarchal construct of, oh, prove it to me. Oh, you think you can release the ego thing? Okay, go ahead. Great. No. Universe does not work that way. And when we work from Creatrix Consciousness, we know and understand that we are constantly being given opportunities. See everything as an opportunity. Everything, no matter how painful it might seem. Everything is an opportunity for you to uncover and discover a deeper truth within yourself. And for you to shift along the way, because we are in a constant evolution of who we are. And we're being called into rising. But that will require you stepping into momentum, inspired action. Maybe it's a tough conversation that it's been pending and all of a sudden it comes through. You never know. But being open and being receptive and being like, okay, great, let's do it. And being mindful of sometimes the little nuanced ways that the universe will come and support you in healing something, releasing something, shifting something, embodying something. That is what the true Creatrix knows and understands. We are never victims to our circumstances. Never, ever, ever. We are always creating along the way. And that means that we are creating opportunities that will test us, that will help us keep polishing who we are so that we can keep rising and shining brighter. And with that, I will leave you today, my friends. I hope you enjoyed this. I will be back next Sunday at the same time right here. I have a couple of really exciting things happening, and the best way to find out about what's coming is to hop onto the link in my bio where it says get on the priority list. Where you get on that list, we're going to send you some updates and juicy things that are happening. Some really, really exciting events that are coming in the next couple of months. I'm so thrilled. Again, we're stretching. We're all stretching here. We're all stretching in beautiful directions. Why? Because our collective is growing. Our collective journey is evolving by leaps and bounds. Like, can you feel it? Can you feel it? So good. And be prepared to get tested. Just be prepared. Be prepared. And when you are, then everything becomes a co-creative process. All right, my friends, I'm sending you so much love. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Los quiero, los quiero, los quiero. And may you be wise, may you be free, and may you always, always speak your truth. I'll see you next Sunday. I love you all. Mwah. Have a beautiful week ahead. Bye.